Welcome to the Dave Palma Show, the podcast that revives, restores, and awakens your innermost capabilities.
You have the training and the talent to succeed, but do you have the guts to fail?
I love what I do. When you love what you do, you want to be the best at it.
Today is about the power of you. You will change the world.
Find your path to success through the journey of those who have succeeded. And now, your host, Dave Palma.
Hi, welcome back to the Dave Palma Show. And with me in this episode, I have a highly accomplished writer that's crafted some memorable stories on the silver and small screens, such as Vantage Point and episodes of Startup. Currently, he serves as the creator and showrunner of the Apple TV Plus series, Me. Barry L. Levy, welcome to the Dave Palma Show.
Thank you. Welcome. Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's a great pleasure having you here. Very honored to have you here, Barry. And I do have a big TV and film actors and, and now in really A-list kind of produced films and TV shows. So like yourself, the Vantage Point obviously was one of your last renowned, successes. But obviously this one, Me, I've seen the trailer actually. It looks pretty impressive. I haven't really had a chance to, I didn't have a screening sent to me. So I haven't really seen it, all the series. I've tried to see a way where I could find it. I have to sign up to Apple Plus, I suppose. But in any case, no, pretty impressive. I'm going to ask you about obviously other things you've done in your career, but let's stick with Me. I'm sure you've heard it many times before from other podcasters and interviewers. So I'd like to know, my audience would like to know, what inspired you to create such an ambitious show?
Oh, well, thank you. Absolutely. It came from my kids. I mean, typically, as you mentioned, most of what I do, 1 hour dramas, thrillers, but I set out to tell this story as a love letter to my kids. My wife and I have identical twin girls, and then we have a son who's about 2 years younger, but has always been a bit on the taller side. And so was constantly confused or mistaken as a triplet. And the minute he opened his mouth and he was a couple years younger, he always sounded younger. And it was a confusing time for him. And so we would talk with him about, you can be anyone. You don't have to be like your sisters. Who do you want to be? And that conversation became a bedtime story, about a boy, Ben, who could be anyone. And lo and behold, the series sort of came from that, about a boy who is 13 or 12 to 13 when we meet him, who can be anyone in the world that he wants to be. He just needs to figure out, who does he want to be? And that was the jumping off point for this, sort of origin story of a superhero. And that's where it came from. And throughout the process of writing it, I sort of cajoled and convinced my kids to stick around for it and be a part of a sounding board. And one of my girls jumped at the chance to even produce with me. And so it was real, and it was a family endeavor.
Family affair and endeavor, yeah. Well, so many questions are shooting out my head already with everything you've said. I'm losing track with what I want to ask you now.
All good.
Because, it sounds like, obviously, I'm the big kid in me. Obviously, I'm an ex-firefighter, so I've been called a hero, but really it was my calling and just something I wanted to do. It's all in a day's job, we say, but of course, that's a real life kind of thing, where you put on a uniform and whatever, but in my Marvel comic days as an 8-year-old myself, Spider-Man was one of my favorites, as well as Superman. And watching the recent films, when I say recent films, of the last 10 years or so, it's a similar thing. He's kind of this kind of nerdy kind of kid at school and got bullied, and all of a sudden there's superpower, and the bully came up to him in front of Lois and kind of like so that was one of the scenes I saw, but of course it also reminded me, I went to watch a film with my daughter recently called Kung Fu Panda, that 4 I think it was, and then the character that was the enemy was the one that changed all the time. It's a cartoon, obviously, animation, sorry. But of course, it's the other way around with your one. So it's just so many things coming in, the imagination of what you've put into it, and creativity, and it just reminded me of things I've seen and, you know.
Sure.
So
I mean, I think for us, the question of being able to transform was a question of identity, right? And you mentioned your daughter offline was 9. I think as the kids hit those middle grades, there's a lot of questions that come up for kids in terms of what is their identity going to be. And so for us, I think we lived, in a practical world that was about superheroes, for a main audience, but there's a metaphor there about identity that is trying on new identities, becoming other people and learning and gaining empathy for their experiences by trying sort of to walk a mile in their shoes.
yeah, no, absolutely. We call that empathy, really, don't we? Really, but I think some people naturally, probably like you, probably like me, would naturally have that empathy, and would be caring and so forth. Some people are probably, I'm not talking about narcissists, but probably not so caring and have to work on that kind of thing. Walking a mile in the shoes isn't really easy. One of the other similarities that shot up in my head while you was explaining about why you wrote the film and Inspired was what inspired the producer of Inside Out.
Mm-hmm.
And his kids, but it's more the emotions, wasn't it, really? And
Yeah.
it was a film about emotions. So I did watch 2, and I was actually doing some work with my daughter with stuff, and they gave me clips of that to say, look, this is kind of empathy. You use empathy and walk a mile in their shoes to see what's going on, don't you, really? But yeah, he wrote that based on his daughter as well, so it's quite amazing. How did your kids feel when you wrote a story like that? And I know you said that your daughter helped with the production, and it's about your son, really,
So I think for him, okay, so he's the youngest of the 3, and I think for him initially it was like, whatever, Dad, to, oh God, he's actually doing this. Then he got to meet the boy who plays Ben in the show, River, and they hit it off, and all of a sudden this was so cool, Dad. And then to now that the show is out, it really is a shared experience that our family has that is so unique, that their childhood will forever be sort of marked by this opportunity to sort of see the stories we told at home getting shared with the world.
No, absolutely.
Cool. So I think he came to appreciate it. My daughter, initially was sort of intrigued. She's always been interested in writing. And so she would sort of sneak down. We were in a virtual writing room. And so she would sneak down and listen in. She would read every single draft and write notes on them. And then when it came to casting, she built like a spreadsheet of everyone we had seen and why this one made sense, or this person, and what she wanted to see. Well, and by the time it got to costumes, she wrote me a note. The fact that she so hated one of my ideas that she's like, the fact that I have to explain this to you is pretty alarming.
Yeah.
It was so funny that it was just, we had that sort of back and forth. And here it was that our sort of meeting ground, our play, our sandbox was something that we got to sort of share with everyone. And so just couldn't say enough. And I think if were they here in this room right now, they would share that same sentiment.
Yeah. So having meals around the tables is completely different now. What's it like when they actually watch the TV? It's a TV series as opposed to a film, so it's kind of like ongoing. It's prolonged. It's not like it's a one-off blast on the big screen. It's like they can sit around a TV and say, "Dad, look." What's it like actually?
You know what? There were certain lines that are in the show that have become, I guess, sort of jokes amongst us. The lines that just sort of jumped off the page. We always used to do this when we watched Ghostbusters or any number of movies. Quote the movies. Now we're just quoting the show often, and it's a lot of fun. It's sort of funny, as they're getting through puberty, there's a line where Max, the stepsister, says to her stepbrother, "You sound like a seal." I can't tell you how many times in a given weekend we hear the "you sound like a seal" line over and over. It's sort of on autoplay amongst them. So
yeah. I've seen a few sea lion shows actually. We saw one this year at the safari not far from us. So, but anyway, I won't go into anything like that. Yes. No, I always wondered, I try to kind of try to draw out, what's this life like now, with all that going on, really. But yeah, let's talk about the series more and how it's getting on, really, because how long is it?
Yeah.
It actually launched to what, July the 12th was the streaming, wasn't it?
I'm sorry?
Right. So how's the actual TV series going? Because it was streamed or launched on the 12th of July this year.
Oh yes, yeah. It's been great. It's wild. People are finding us at their own pace, and so we had a series of reviews that came out and comments online, and people really responding to it. But it's even still happening. We got the other day a request from one of the big city newspapers here in the States, wanting to talk about it in the cast, just because there's this group of young people in it that are really, really pretty special. And I mean, we had two incredible casting directors that really sort of stepped in and found us. They scoured, two different continents, multiple countries, and found us this cast of people that are just, and their bonds and their performances are really something that people keep talking about with us.
Yeah, well, and of course Apple TV. Yeah, I mean everything's gone global since the pandemic. Even my show, actually, to be honest, it was amazing how it just got discovered so easily. But yeah, I mean with Netflix, it was and Zoom, what we're speaking on now, was just a name, and it's just amazing.
Did you start this during the pandemic?
No, before 2 years before, but it just went crazy. And I was doing some coaching, and it was blogs I was doing, and then got into podcasting because it's easy with my dyslexia and everything, and being a bit of a showman myself, a bit of an entertainer. I did some films, but extra kind of thing. But I've been in movies where I had quite a bit of myself in it, so how the industry goes. But so that was always going to be part of my intake of, I was an ex-athlete, as I mentioned to you. So that.
And I've seen some of your previous episodes. I saw that there was a woman who had written a book about sort of fostering, I think it was empathy and management. It was a few weeks ago, I want to say now, not that long ago.
Right. Okay. Fostering. Yeah. That's right. So she's a coach, probably.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
And you had mentioned firefighting and training other people as well. It was fascinating.
Yeah. I do try and bring some of my own story because I left the fire service with a book. The intention was to do some motivational speaking because not many firefighters, a lot of military do it. If they've got a really powerful story to tell with, some of their friends' arms being blown off or something like that, or themselves, but I don't want to say it in a horrible way, but it tends to be the next best thing to actually being in the movie, just getting up and talking about it. Yeah. I think some movie stars, do some kind of inspirational speaking as well. I know Will Smith has done a few things. He came over the UK. So, the idea was to do that and a bit of coaching. And so that's why, but it evolved and the podcast became just really successful, really. It was really a promotional tool at first, so, but now I'm like you, I'm a creator and obviously
right.
It's amazing, really, how podcasts just became famous, not overnight, but it just became more of a thing after 2020. Before that it was kind of an industry that people didn't take much notice of, did they? Really, it's more radio than so. Right.
It is interesting. I think probably because none of us were in our cars anymore or what have you, that we had sort of more time and space to want to listen to things than the radio. Yeah, we just sort of moved away.
I think it was working from home and stuff like that. If it's something for everyone there. So they used to call soap operas because they have in the old days. I don't want to sound chauvinistic. I'm not, but the wife was at home and everything was based around soap. It's like washing up the liquid and there were sponsors, so that's why it kind of got the name soap opera. I think that's my guess, but
right.
Nowadays the podcast is for everyone. There's something there for everyone, and everyone was working from home. It's not,
right.
It's not a kind of generalization around women being, stuck at home. It's everyone. Anyone can be at home now, and of course there is house fathers now. The mother going out to work or whatever. So you work from home? Do you a lot or?
I do. Yeah. I mean, I sort of can work from anywhere, right? So we shot the series in Atlanta, so I worked there for 6 months. So I was on the road with my daughters looking at colleges and universities. The nicest part of writing is, it's movable.
Yeah, of course.
It's a
Yeah.
question.
Uh,
So
I love that really, and also I get a bit of a passive earning from my thing. I'm sure you do a lot more than what I do, really, because you've had a massive success, and your success came from certain things like series like Startup, and let's find it, Paranoia, and Vantage Point. And Vantage Point is the one where you really it's really catapulted your career, I think, by the sounds of things.
it certainly was a big turning point. Yeah.
It's a big turning point. So tell us about that, actually. So that was a big turning point. What was your life like before that, and your career like before that, before you did that? And Paranoia, I've heard of Paranoia. I love that. And obviously it starred a lot of famous, Harrison Ford, Amber Heard, who...
Yeah. Well, so, I had gone to university, I guess you would have said. I was always interested in movies my whole life. And my senior year, I wrote and directed a movie that started the film program where I had gone to university, and it catapulted me into graduate school. But I was young. I mean, I'm trying to figure this out, 21 or 22 when I was in graduate school for film. And so there was a learning curve ahead of me that just age was, and so I wound up working as an executive at an animation studio for a number of years. I think I had put like a dozen series on the air before I finally sort of wrote something that could help catapult my career to a professional where I could just write all the time. So for a number of years, I was writing direct-to-video horror movies. I was producing low-budget movies, and then I wrote Vantage Point really for myself. And overnight, literally, it went out to various producers on a Wednesday evening, and on Thursday, there was a bidding war for over $1 million. And
wow.
And overnight, my life changed.
Yeah.
That was 20 years ago. And
Yeah.
I've been blessed and fortunate to write full time. Most historically, it was always movies. Now TV is definitely a thing.
Yeah.
And I find it incredibly gratifying and joyful. I mean, I've always loved creating, and to finally sort of see my words come to life is, and to get to share that with my family is kind of everything.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, at the time it did come out, which 20 years ago, it was just the birth of social media, YouTube and things like that. But also, of course, with the internet now, in full force, from the 90s when it was just developing, obviously, and picking itself up from the .com bust and things like that. Things change, as I keep mentioning, Netflix, Apple TV, and everything, and it seems to be a war on not a war like in a trade war like China and US, but it's Netflix, Amazon, Apple, and I'm sure there'll be a few others, Hulu. There's quite a lot, isn't there now? What's your take? Because obviously that was a turning point in your life, and it was still the big screens 20 years ago. It wasn't really.
Well, it didn't hit the screen 20 years ago, but that's when the script was first written. Most movies and TV shows take years.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But honestly, I think these platforms, I think it's sort of like the internet. I think I love that you brought that up. At the time, we didn't really know how to make sense out of it, and 20 years later, nobody reads a newspaper anymore, right?
Well, that's it, yeah.
Yeah, you devour your news in different ways.
Yes.
I think streaming services are having that same moment of nobody quite knows what the future is going to look like or hold. And I think for entertainers, for writers, producers, actors, all of us, I think that it fundamentally has so changed our way of life that the best thing you can sort of hope for is that you're doing what you love. Because it's certainly more complicated and harder to sort of drill down and explain than ever before. And yet, you know what? If you love what you do, there's more opportunities than anywhere else.
Absolutely. But things are changing a lot. I mean, for me, it helps me a lot with things that's come out now. But for some people, especially actors, obviously they went on strike with this big AI thing going on. Yep. As a screenwriter, for you, you probably don't see no different to doing it for the big screen and doing it for Apple or Amazon or Netflix. You're always going to be in a job in a way. And for you, it's the same. AI helps me with writing because of my dyslexia and everything else. You don't probably need to use it because you've just been skilled with it, all your life, so, and that's the way it's always been. But how do you see the difference of what's going on now with how people see movies?
Yeah. The AI thing sort of tripped me up a second ago. So a buddy of mine knows that I'm a huge Beastie Boys fan. And
right, okay, yeah, I remember that.
So he
I think, yeah, sorry, I was going to slip in.
No, you go.
I was going to slip in that I was amongst a few people that said, I had my Volkswagen thing stolen and I was wearing it. But anyway, sorry about that. I thought I'd just
No, it's all good. So he's like, you like the Beastie Boys? Watch this. And he pulls out his chat GPT and he types in, write a rap about Vantage Point in the voice of the Beastie Boys. And like that, all of a sudden, it was surreal to just sort of come to life and realize that this is, like you said, a time of enormous change and disruption. Yeah. I don't think we know what will happen to writers, to entertainers, to anyone in the future. And so when I say it's more complicated, it can be terrifying or it can be inspiring. I think that you would have said the same thing in terms of your various, careers and what have you. In firefighting, it's terrifying, and yet you do it because you have to, right? On some level, you have to save people, and in my life, I have to tell stories, and if we allow ourselves to get down, in these moments, we're doing that to ourselves. If we allow ourselves to be inspired and to sort of grow from it and to figure it out as we go, I think that's what I would hope for my kids. And certainly
absolutely.
That truth.
I think that they notice that that will be there, but just like social media, they will. Just this weekend, just gone, the CEO of Telegram got arrested.
Yeah.
There's no regulation still really totally around social media, I don't think. But of course they do. Obviously, the UK is very good at that. They have them sitting in what you call Congress and quiz, Zuckerberg or whatever his name is, the Facebook owner, whoever it is, even Elon Musk will have him in Parliament. We call it Parliament there, and quiz him and say, why did you do that? It happened with the newspapers. It's still traditional. It's still there. It's still going on. But Rupert Murdoch.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He was quizzed because of the phone tapping stuff, and it was with the Hollywood stars even.
Hugh Grant, right?
Hugh Grant, anyone from normal walks of life to walk of life to sports people, anyone really. But it was really more than, and it just the plot thickened because there was tip-offs from the police, because certain things was going on.
Oh, wow.
It was terrible really. But they had him in Parliament, and that's what I said. Even Elon Musk, it's not a joke. They could have him there, and obviously the owner of Telegram. So what I'm saying is, there will be some kind of, even though there's no regulation really, there will be some kind of holding to account, wouldn't there? Really, America's quite good at it as well, aren't they? Really, they'll ban something. They'll ban TikTok if they have to, or
right,
certain kinds of crypto.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't quite follow the various sides of the TikTok.
No.
But I do find that. Certainly, it does seem like it's in the news quite often, the questions of accountability. And I think, so much of this always comes back for me anyways to, as a parent, you do want to build a world for your kids and a pattern that they grow up in of understanding personal accountability and responsibility. And so when you're mentioning these things, that's certainly what comes to mind for me.
Yeah. Well, it's the world we live in now anyway, really. But in what affects you in your world is AI, and there was a lot of actors that, I don't know if it was a union that went on strike.
We did, the writers and the actors.
And the writers, exactly. Yeah. So that was a very serious thing. So that's the reason I said there will be some kind of I can't see it going out of hands. There will be some kind of accountability going on. I think, anyway, personally myself. Yeah. I don't know what you think, but. You can't. It's your work, isn't it? They can't just steal your voice or steal your writing or whatever. They just can't do that, can they?
I certainly hope not.
No.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on a bit then, because obviously we've spoken about your successes, and obviously this show is about inspirational people and inspiring other people. And you do also teach at a college, don't you, yourself?
I do. I teach at USC.
Yeah,
University
USC.
of Southern California. Yeah.
Which is different to UCLA.
Yes, they are
University.
rivals.
Yeah. Oh, the rivals. Okay. Right.
They are rivals.
Yeah, it's like Cambridge and Oxford, isn't it, really? I suppose for the California world, if we could put it that way. So that's quite... Tell us more about that. You're a professor, adjunct professor there.
Yeah, not an adjunct. Yeah, no, I teach writing to graduate students. I teach screenwriting, and so we just actually started this week.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. How long have you been doing that for?
Just a couple years.
Oh, okay.
I've, for the last 4 years, been a thesis panelist for the same graduate program that I had gone to for a number of years.
Yeah.
And there was an opportunity, and I really wanted to give back. So
yeah, absolutely. And this is what I'm doing, you see, after, as I said, I wrote a book, and it was really meant to be inspiring people and, you know, give back in a bigger way than just simply retiring and going away, really. So no, it's great that you do. I mean, I've got a university degree, but I found degrees quite hard going for me. So and it was in politics, so it's probably no use in your world, really.
Oh wow.
But yeah, that was at the University of London. So no rival to USC or UCLA, but yeah, excellent. Well, it's really been a great pleasure speaking to you, and we could go on forever with everything you've done. But you know, it's a really great honor having you here with all the portfolio of everything you've done. And yeah, thanks a lot for coming and sharing everything on the show today.
Absolutely, thank you so much.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for listening, and remember, if you want to support what we do, then share, subscribe, and leave a review over on Apple Podcasts. Or head over to my website, davepalmer.com, and click on Rate Show. Well, that's all for now, but I'll see you in the next episode of The Dave Palmer Show.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.